Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. Welcome to our latest webinar. So this one is how to successfully build a data strategy to drive business insights. Now you have me, your usual host. My name is Leon Godwin. I am the Principal Cloud Evangelist here at Cloud Direct. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I've added in my LinkedIn details below here. My job is I actually work in the marketing team, but I'm not a chargeable resource. I'm a free of charge resource, and my job is to help customers, prospects, and colleagues alike accelerate on that cloud journey. So joining us today, we also have Dr. Victoria Holt. We're very, very lucky to have Victoria. She's very, very proficient. So Victoria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. Yes, I'm Victoria Holt. I'm the Data and AI Practice Lead at Cloud Direct. Glad to be here today talking about one of my favourite topics of data strategy and covering some data governance and sort of those path items to move forward in an actionable way.
Excellent. Okay, without any further ado, we'll jump in. Now, there will be some questions. There's a Q&A at the end. So if anything jumps out at you, please just jump into the chat and add your questions in, and we will pick them up at the end. Okay, so I'm going to lead us off, and I'm going to just position a little bit around data. And I come from an AI perspective. I'm a huge nerd for AI, especially how it can actually have meaningful business impact rather than the sort of 90% of AI that's kind of hype. So I'm just going to walk us through a little bit about where we are, where we're going, what the future brings, and some information that you might find insightful. So 2023 was very much the year of AI. It was a kind of breakthrough year, born out of a coalescing of different elements. We've always had untapped potential contained within our data, but the advancements of models and the reduction in costs of hardware that's capable of driving these models has brought it to the market and made it much more available. So ChatGPT was globally available in January last year, and Meta, they released their Llama model, open source model, and that kind of kick-started the race. By March, ChatGPT had upgraded to a newer version 3.5, and then in April version 4. This was driving a lot of demand. There was huge amounts of uptake. By this point, they'd already hit 100 million customers at OpenAI, and there was a lot of hardware that was being procured. That drove Nvidia to have a market cap of a huge amount of money, $1 trillion, I believe. They joined the club of Apple and Microsoft at that end. Then legislation started to come to the fore with the EU passing, although it doesn't really take effect until 2026, their AI Act. And then GPT also started to have vision capabilities where it could understand pictures and also create pictures. And then we started to get the commoditization of these things in terms of Copilot being made available from Microsoft, and much more recently that's been available. Previously it was a 300 minimum purchase effectively, but now you can buy, it's dropped down to an individual license. So very much the year of AI. Moving forward, these are my predictions of what will happen moving forward from this point. I think 2024 will see organisations, especially the ambitious organisations, adopt AI and integrate that into their business processes. Staff will become more proficient, especially non-technical staff, in exploiting AI. They'll be used to Copilot, they'll be used to the other tools where AI is their assistant, helping them be more productive. And then that will result in, by next year, a greater level of benefit arriving and starting to affect market share as organisations start to become more proficient and operate efficiently as an organisation. That's going to give them some strategic advantages. Later on in that year, those more AI and the benefits of AI, I see especially for the sort of companies that are leading the charge, will start to infuse some of those AIs and externalize some of those capabilities, delivering and have a greater level of embedding, and start to innovate and potentially not just produce better products and services, but maybe new products and services that makes available. But then below the line of those, what's going to happen to those organizations that choose not to do the adoption? They will start to see challenges where they will find it harder to recruit the people that they need, because people will prefer to work for organizations that are leading the charge on modern technologies. They will start to feel the effects on their business in terms of market share, and that's going to result in a difference between the operating costs of an agile modern organization versus those that are using traditional methods. And then that by sort of the end of next year, I suspect we will see headwinds being created within organizations that will start them to in certain market sectors to drive efficiencies, redundancies, and eventually some of those will not survive. This is a fairly comfortable prediction because history has shown this happening over and over again. Those that adapt to change are the ones that survive. It's not the strongest that survive, it's the most adaptable that survive. So what does that mean for you as an audience? Well, let's take a business process in terms of AI. Let's take invoice processing. Every company has to pay an invoice or send out an invoice. So you have that kind of ecosystem. So this is common amongst the majority of organizations. Largely they're paper-based. An email arrives with a PDF usually. There's an invoice from a supplier. What you can do is you can have AI take that data, you save it to a location that AI is monitoring, it extracts the key information out of that invoice, it then validates that information that the amounts are correct and appropriate, and stores that in a database, Dataverse, SharePoint site even, but that also potentially needs additional information. Maybe that invoice needs to be assigned to a project code. So what you would do is you would send that information to the relevant stakeholders who can enrich that data set with additional information that didn't exist within the invoice itself. And then once you collated that information, you have the fullness of the information that you need to be able to move it down the workflow. Then it potentially needs to be approved by a manager, and then or maybe then what you'll do is you'll integrate that data and that invoices into your accounting finance system. These can be legacy systems using robotic process automation. That's literally driving desktops to simulate human behavior, or maybe more cloud automation where it's more code orientated, to automate and using APIs to go and inject that. Effectively, the accounting team would have done many of these steps before, but now all they've done is they've saved it to a location, and the rest has happened automatically, massively improving efficiency, but also improving accuracy. And as you run through this, you will have a greater level of insights into what's being paid, how things are working. You can start running analytics against all that data, because it's available in multiple locations. Another use case that can be interesting, this is honestly, if you're thinking about your data and chatting with your data. I know Victoria is going to talk much more about this, but chatting with your data is a relatively simple use case to adopt. Now, whether it's real-time data, whether you're integrating data across multiple platforms, the ability to use natural language to be able to have a two-way conversation with your data is profound. When you have that, a nice interface that people can go and use that allows you to improve your productivity, give you the insights that you need, you can make better, more informed decisions as an organization. Now, this can be useful if whether it's financial reporting, analyzing customers or inventory or sales. It's too numerous to mention the different types of data where a conversation with that data and the insights productivity that would benefit from that capability, that they are significant. And honestly, it's possibly one of the easiest adoption cases of all the adoption cases out there. Now, something I just wanted to share in terms of AI before I hand over to Victoria is when you are chatting with data, you use natural language, and sometimes people may not be getting the full experience out of their conversations with their data using whatever prevailing technology they happen to use. Now, when you do ask it, most people will do the first steps quite well. Give it a task, create me something. What is there? And then it's a context, capital of whatever. And we do those first two steps, which are critical because it won't work without it. But the other four steps largely get ignored. And these are really, really important if you are going to look to make use of your data and ask questions of your data. Make sure they're clever questions. So use examples of the sort of things that you want, and I'll expand on that in a moment. Give it the persona that it needs and the tone, and give it information about the formatting. When you have a well-structured prompt, then you can start getting better quality outcomes. So an example of a really well-crafted prompt would be generate a comprehensive report analysing the latest sales data from Q4, including charts and comparisons to Q3 in a professional tone similar to our annual financial overview format. Now, in this particular case, this would be really good if you were having a conversation with Excel using Copilot or Power BI, or maybe an Azure Bot Framework type deployment. You've identified the task, generate report, you've given it the context of the comparison, you've said that you want it to have charts, you've given an example in terms of your financial overview, and you've told it it wants to be a professional tone. The quality of your output there will be greatly improved. And there's an additional example that follows the same process. You want to be able to think of the anatomy of your question. Whilst we may infer something from conversations that I might have with you or you might have with me because we're human beings, we can extrapolate. You know, they say X percentage of conversation is silence, you know, body language, what have you. Of course, AI doesn't have that. So we need to be very clear and concise. So just think about the anatomy of your question and make sure it's composed appropriately. There are tools out there that can help you actually craft better prompts and inputs. And then, so finally, before I hand over to Victoria, this is my final slide. The data is the fuel that drives the AI engine. You have loads of data, and a lot of that data has untapped potential. So what we would do is we would take data pipelines and then we would feed your data into that, whether it be your sales data. And that is, you're consistently making sales. That's a consistent flow of data that might be going in. There may be CRM data that doesn't necessarily change as frequently, but maybe those data sets are larger. And then there's finance data, maybe lots of micro information in there that's coming quite rapidly. All of that data can get synthesized, processed, transformed by these pipelines. And then that can go and feed an AI engine or a machine used for machine learning. But the point is you need to think, stop thinking of data as siloed of data, like CRM data, sales data, but think of data as a single asset. It's the asset that you want to tap your value from. Going through a process, a structured process, maybe the outcome is some analytics, maybe the outcome is some AI, but having that structured process and having a strategy in place to go and deal with that is really, really critical. So now what I'm going to do is hand over to Victoria, who's going to provide you some insights around the data side of things. So Victoria, over to you. I'll stop sharing so you can share from your machine.
Right, just a second. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my slides now.
Yes, very much so. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Haven't used Teams Live much myself. So always exciting using different types of versions of Teams, isn't it, as we go forward. So that was a great introduction, setting the scene from Leon, talking about the current marketplace and AI. I spend a lot of time speaking to many customers on data and AI, and it can be quite an overwhelming place to know where to start. And every business has that different level of skills. I like to think of our 5 guiding principles, really. Thinking about business value, to enable that full digital transformation and to maximise that value of data and AI. Then thinking about governance and to bring data into a good governed state to enable that self-service analytics, an AI that is ethical and responsible. Then moving to that really important area of data quality, to make it easy for everyone to get started and to trust their data. And then data as a service is one of those areas that we need to consider carefully, because we need to build everything that we do and in our changing world of data and plan how that's going to be managed, because nothing is in that position where you can just put it in and then it doesn't need management afterwards. And then finally, thinking about that people and culture side, and to enable those data skills growing within the business, and also how the business is actually going to use the data. Now, to bring these sort of guiding principles alive, it needs a holistic approach, and various things need to be considered, and it needs to be underpinned in several areas. And thinking about underpinning like that security and support side is really, really important. And this method is our data strategy that I'm going to talk through over the next sort of few slides, that sort of guides and helps drive that business actionable roadmap to enable generative AI. So then thinking about generative AI. It's much talked about, but to adopt this requires a foundation of data management and cloud technologies. Now, this enables a business to move forward in a supportable and that integrated fashion with current ways of working. And as we know, every business is unique, and there are many different starting places due to businesses being at all different stages of their cloud journeys or their data journeys, or even with that AI adoption state. Now, this framework looks at 5 different areas, which can be looked at in isolation or they can be looked at as a whole. It's important to have flexibility as things sort of grow. And then to sort of help guide businesses into a position that data can sort of be used effectively for those business insights and be available for that generative AI. Now, these 5 areas consist of that modern analytics platform, thinking about that data governance, that data quality side, thinking about dashboards for visualizing all those standard analytics that we have, and generative AI, which is underpinned again with that security and support at its heart. I want to drive a little bit further into each of these areas now. So the first of our building blocks is this modern data analytics platform. So what is a modern data analytics platform and why is it important? Now, this is a term and it's been flying around for quite a number of years, and it's based on a collection of technologies. It is a cloud native set of products that enables that collection and cleansing, thinking about transformation and analysis of organisations' data to help improve that decision-making process. Now, the modern data analytics platform is really important as it's that enabler for business to democratise data And it enables data enrichment, that trustworthy data, thinking about better data quality, and that enables teams within a business to have access to the data that they need and when they need it, which is really important. I mean, when we go back to thinking about like those traditional data lakes and data warehouses, they don't address siloed data or data sprawl, or even that ungoverned data sharing, which spins up throughout lots of organisations, and even those inconsistent data sets. And they were often quite complex to integrate. So an example of this new modern analytics platform is Microsoft Fabric. So the platform is this foundation stone for utilising analytics and AI solutions. And in the Microsoft space, the new offering is Microsoft Fabric, and that became generally available last year, so it's quite new at the moment. And Microsoft Fabric is this sort of unified SaaS-based solution that combines various tools like Data Factory, Synapse Analytics and Power BI and others into this single sort of unified experience on the cloud. And it provides that open and governed data lakehouse foundation that's sort of cost effective and performance optimized for business intelligence, thinking about that machine learning and also for those AI workloads as well. And the platform enables migration and modernization of existing analytics solutions, whether we're thinking about those data appliances or traditional data warehouses. And by establishing modern analytics platforms, it makes it possible to transform both unstructured data and siloed data and build that valuable strategic asset through this modernization activity. So how data is stored in this new platform is important. OneLake comes automatically with every Microsoft Fabric tenant, and it's designed to be this new single place for all your analytics data. And it's often referred to as that OneDrive for data. And OneLake brings that one data lake for the entire organization. So it makes it a lot easier to start trying to find that data within the business. And then it also has one copy of the data, but with that one copy of the data, it enables us to use multiple analytic engines against that data, which obviously helps with stopping that things like data sprawl within the organization. So it's designed to reduce and maintain maintenance and sort of like that overhead and specifying like the security governance and sort of data security. And there's one really great major benefit that I'm really excited about that sits within Fabric. And that is that a system doesn't have to move all of its data into one place. Fabric has this technology called shortcuts, which are like objects in OneLake. And that point to like, like different sort of storage locations, whether it's internal or external ones, to that OneLake. And this allows data to actually be left where it is, but still being accessible to all those analytic systems. So that has massive advantages because it means you don't have to move vast quantities of data continuously from A to B. So I think this is like a hidden sort of capability within Microsoft Fabric, which I think will help us move forward in this modern world. Now, so Microsoft Fabric is basically an analytics tool to overcome the limitations of these traditional architectures. It's still early to market, so it's growing in functionality daily. The Intelligent Foundation also comes with Microsoft Purview embedded for that data governance. And that sort of like leads me on to my next main area. And that is data governance. And data governance is paramount to the new data world. It's where there is constant change and proliferation of data. And we need to think about this new world of agile data governance. And this new world of governance is rather than that sort of like large data governance projects that we've kind of seen in the past, they're much more focused and really embedded on business use cases. And there's a few areas that are critical that need to be in place for good data governance. And we need to think about things now about who are those data owners? Who are the data stewards? Now, those are the people who work on the data on a day-to-day basis. And it's important that both of these sets of people are actually recorded so everybody knows who's doing what within the data system. And so there's that full integration across the business. And then thinking about understanding what data assets you have across the business, maybe in a formal or informal data catalogue. And then we need to understand that business data a little bit more. So does the data have a business glossary? That is always really useful, and having that glossary that can tie into the data assets as well brings that data alive to the business. And then we're always thinking about, from like security purposes and things like that, for like GDPR and things like that, thinking about what business accreditations does a business need to comply with. And other things like data ethics, or we're thinking about that current data maturity, or data policies, even like how we classify and understand that data. And really knowing what our lineage is and provenance of that data becomes really important in this new AI world. And there's various frameworks in the data management side of things that I like to draw on from that data governance side. And these being this Dama de Bock wheel, and also the CDMC. So to help with data and the process side of data governance, there's various tools available that can help and like that automatically govern that data. And in this space, this is Microsoft Purview. I mean, Microsoft Purview is this umbrella term for this sort of suite of tools. And that covers sort of like data security, data governance, and now risk and compliance as well. They're all merged together into this one overall tool. And these can really help that organisation govern, protect and manage data wherever it is stored. And with Microsoft Purview being this unified platform, it provides that integrated view of your data estate, which helps with that fragmented data estate that you've got with all your assets all over the organisation, which previously we've had that lack of visibility of that data estate. And this has really hampered things like data protection or governance, or even like keeping like that data quality in a really good state. So Purview really helps the business, and it sort of helps you sort of gain visibility of your assets, I say, across that entire organisation. It helps you safeguard and manage that sensitive data across its life cycle, wherever you have that stored in your business. It governs data seamlessly across all assets in the business. It can even help with sort of managing that critical data risk and all those regulatory compliance with that risk and compliance side. And being able to data share across the business in a secure fashion is really important, because we all see that people take lots of Excel spreadsheets and maybe they don't, I suppose, have that data available to them. So they take a copy of it and then it just sort of proliferates throughout the business. And then thinking about complying to those regulatory requirements, it sort of helps with that. So in addition to this tool side, it's still important to consider the people side of data governance. And people need to know where to find the data, how to use it with these, and how to really understand how that is managed within the business. So moving on to sort of our third sort of area, and this is about good quality data for trusted insights. Now, poor data quality can have serious consequences for an organisation. It can lead to those financial losses, thinking about that damage to sort of brand reputation and those legal consequences. I mean, data breaches, as we see, are just growing and growing in organisations, and they can in particular have severe repercussions, including loss of customer trust and negative impact on that revenue. Therefore, it's essential to prioritise that data quality and take proactive measures to ensure that it's maintained at high level to help that business protect their data. So I think there are 6 core sort of dimensions in data quality, and they're really important to address for data quality management. We have uniqueness, and this is data that may be duplicated or other types of things within their database and or the data side of things. So we need to make sure that we've only got like that one copy really. Completeness is all the required data present. Thinking about accuracy and how well these data values reflect reality. And thinking about, that timeliness and how up to date that data is, because data can arrive late, or it can which then can result in it not being reflective, or so things like that need to be considered. And thinking about like data consistency as well, and whether it matches other data sources. So if it's being pulled from somewhere else, you can always have a look to see whether that's the same type of data. And then how valid is that data? What is the format and the constraints that are applied? So these dimensions provide a framework for assessing and improving data quality within an organisation. And by focusing on these dimensions, organisations can ensure that their data is accurate, complete, consistent, timely, valid, and relevant. Now, one method to help improve this work on those ETL pipelines is to automate that data ingest. So in conclusion, just thinking about that data quality, it's a fundamental aspect of any successful business. Now, it must be prioritised and maintained proactively. And that high quality data leads to informed decision making and better business outcomes, making it a crucial consideration for any organisation now. And it's important to know that if a business is thinking about moving to AI, good data quality is a must. And I think Leon mentioned this earlier as well, just thinking about that poor quality data and how that leads to inaccurate outcomes. Now, so we have a demo coming up in just a minute. So just thinking about that, utilising that good quality data for trusted insights is absolutely paramount. And it's often hard to identify what needs to be done about how we kind of want to move forward with that, and considering like maybe that generative AI side of things and how we can help data quality by using a dashboard for that. So Leon has this really cool demo to share with you just now. So if you want to, I think I need to stop sharing, don't I?
Yes, if you could, that'd be wonderful.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. So before I jump into this demo, just very briefly, a little bit of context. So Victoria and I were having a conversation last week about the 6 pillars of data quality. And we thought it wouldn't be great if we can show you a demo. So I have a very good understanding of the concepts and capabilities of AI, but I don't know code at all. Python to me is a snake, .NET is the end of my email address. I do not know code, but I do know how to bend AI to my will. So I set about working up a solution to go and provide a demo for you using AI in that data quality environment. So what I did was, first thing I needed was some data. And I needed some data that was, and to make it a bit more interesting, that data needed to not be perfect, so we could show you some different dimensions of quality. So I asked AI to create me a retail data set. I wanted some synthetic data to be able to do some of this work on. I defined my prompt appropriately, gave it the information I needed, and it created the data set for me. I then stored that data set somewhere and then set about saying, right, I want to visualize the quality of this. So let's define what those 6 pillars are. Let's define a set of rules around those pillars. This is just natural language stuff. So it's just a very long prompt. And I fed that into an automated workflow. And then I got the output. It would provide an output. I needed to visualize that. So I then went to a different AI and a Copilot AI in Power Platform and asked it to go and create a tool for me. And with a little bit of cajoling, this is the output that it produced. So now I have a tool, and I'm going to do this in real time. So there is a data set that has an undetermined amount of quality. There is an automation that has an AI workflow in the background that will then analyze that data and report back on its uniqueness. So when I click the uniqueness button, you can see there is an automation running off. It's collecting the data, it's passing it to an AI. Oh, it's back already. And its AI is assessing it and bringing that data back. And then I can initiate multiple workflows all at the same time, kicking these off for it to go and report back on the different elements of the data. So this is AI has created data. AI has analyzed data. AI has helped produce an interface to communicate the quality of that data to an audience. This in turn allows us to make decisions, such as if only 90% of the data is unique, do we need to address that 10% of the data that's potentially duplicated, or do we remove that? It depends on the use case that you're using, whether you're looking to, whether you go down a remediation route or an exclusion route and just filter out the duplicate records. It depends on your use case. And likewise for each of the different data sets. Obviously timeliness is, that's effectively, what is timely for you. Will be different in each organization. But I wanted you to show you and try to bring it to life a little bit. AI has its engine, the engine that is AI, the fuel runs on data. We got AI to create the data, we've got AI to analyze the data, we've got AI to help visualize the data, allowing you to be able to work with confidence and move forward with your whatever it is, your analytics work, your AI work, your machine learning, whatever the outcome is that you're driving your data. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and if you'd like to take over, Victoria, and bring this home.
Thank you very much. That's amazing. Oh, right, okay. It said, I'm just replacing it, right, okay, right. Hopefully, just a second, I'll reshare my deck.
And audio.
And audio, yes, I think I did that. Right, can you see my slides again?
I can indeed.
Excellent. So wasn't that an amazing demo from Leon? So getting back to our 5 sort of steps. So moving on from that massively important 3rd step of data quality, we're then now looking back at dashboards and thinking, moving to that state of thinking about that visualization and analytics and how that kind of works. Creating and deploying and supporting dashboards that enables that business to drive value and business decisions. I mean, and the business benefits, as we all know, from that data visualization, and it helps provide clear understanding of the current business state and how that market is responding, and aids in rapid business decision making with all these emerging trends, if we can actually see that in a visualization or in a dashboard. And as you can see, like even from that data quality demo, just having that in a dashboard, it makes it 10 times quicker to see what the problem is or where you need to actually move forward. And it can help sort of save time, help find those hidden patterns and sort of detect those errors and limits. So it's about using tools to assist with that auto creation of these dashboards. And so I just want to step back a minute and just think about really understanding that value of visualizing analytics. And Gartner talks about these 4 main stages, thinking about that descriptive analytics and understanding what happened in the past. And that is where we have all been continuously for quite a while. But there's still quite a journey to sort of move on from that, thinking about then moving to diagnostic analytics and understanding why it happened. Moving a bit further forward, thinking again about that predictive analytics and looking for insight through that understanding of what will happen. And then prescriptive analytics, looking at foresight and seeing how we can make this happen going forwards. So these 4 stages are always important to have in the back of your mind. And a useful tool for creating dashboards is Power BI. So creating these Power BI reports can often be hard for businesses who don't have the skills when starting their journey. And Microsoft have introduced generative AI that allows you to create a report automatically by selecting the topic of the report or by prompting Copilot on that particular topic. So creating a narrative and visual that generates a summary of your report using generative AI is really useful. So this sort of new feature enables all businesses to gain more insight without that steepest cost of getting started with all that learning and training so much. So I've got a demo here just to show you of this about this new preview feature in Power BI. If it doesn't play the sound, please let me know. It should do, because I can't hear that here.
Copilot with Power BI transforms complex data into the clear and compelling communication of insights. Business intelligence plus artificial intelligence is a whole lot of intelligence, which enables you to have a two-way conversation with your data. For example, say you're a sales analyst for a retail company. You can converse with Copilot and ask it to create a report for you to help you understand the profile of your customers. Copilot does analysis of your retail data, then creates a report in Power BI that communicates back to you what is driving customer behaviour. This isn't a static report, it's fully interactive, allowing you to dive deeper, and Copilot also gives you options to adjust the output to get just what you're looking for. Your conversation turns to metrics and trends, and Copilot obliges with tailored visualizations of information. You now realise which products and services are driving repeat customers. The analysis is clearly communicated, but thinking about your wider audience, you realise that you want to make it have a more familiar style. So you ask Copilot to update the report so that it resembles the existing sales dashboard that you previously spent weeks creating. Within moments, the report is updated and matching the formatting and layout. Finally, to make the report even easier for your team to understand, you ask Copilot to add a rich text description of the data inside the report. This narrative summary is fully dynamic, and not only does Copilot highlight interesting insights from your data, but it provides citations from where in the report the data was taken. This summary will update every time the data is refreshed. Recognizing that data is your most valuable asset, having Copilot and Power BI as your intelligent partners enables you to unlock the true potential of your data.
Okay, that's complete.
Thank you. And finally, moving on from generative AI, we're moving into our last step, which is in fact all about building data strategy from using insights leverage from generative AI. So thinking about that a little bit more in depth about generative AI, and that's like a subset of AI. And this is a really exciting new area of artificial intelligence. And it has the potential to revolutionize the way we create our content. So with the ability to generate new data, text, images and video, there's even like a new video creator thing that came out, I think about a week ago, which is really exciting from all your prompts and things. And it has that major power to transform that wide range of industries, right the way through from like entertainment side, right the way into healthcare, and there are some amazing things happening in the healthcare space as well at the moment. So think about generative AI. It has that potential to add value in a number of ways, and it makes it a powerful tool for businesses to look and gain a competitive edge. So generative AI is powered by foundation models, and it can multitask and perform out-of-the-box tasks, including things like summarization of your data, thinking about that QA, classification, or even more. Plus, there's minimum training required and with these foundation models, and they can be adapted and targeted for your use cases with very little example data. On Your Data is now generally available in the Azure OpenAI service. And I thought this is amazing because it's this groundbreaking feature that empowers you to leverage that power of OpenAI models, such as like GPT-4, against your own data. And it uses that retrieval augmented generation model. And it's really an enterprise grade security against all of that data as well on that Azure side of things. I mean, and this is like a cutting edge capability that transforms the way you connect, interact and ground your data. And with that greater accuracy and speed through a user-friendly sort of like conversational experience. And so you can rapidly create personalized co-pilots with your data and enhance your user comprehension and expedite task completion and even aid that decision-making process. And critically, part of working with generative AI needs us to work responsibly. And that's ensuring that AI is developed and deployed in a way that benefits society as a whole, and really taking steps to mitigate those unintended biases, protect user privacy, and ensure that transparency and explainability. And we can help ensure that all AI systems are used ethically and accountably. So responsible AI in practice, as taken like from the Microsoft space, has 6 elements: transparency, fairness, privacy and security, accountability, reliability and safety, and inclusiveness. Now, other providers have actually got different sets of these, but these are the ones that that Microsoft use. So I'm just going to drill into this a little bit more, thinking about that transparency, what that means, making that information with those AI systems, inputs, outputs, and decision-making processes available for users. And then thinking about fairness and what that means for those AI systems to make sure things aren't biased against particular sort of groups of people. Thinking about that privacy and security, and about protecting that personal data for users and ensuring that system is not used to violate sort of people's privacies. Then accountability for taking responsibility for those outcomes in those AI systems and being able to explain its decision-making process. So you can think about making sure every piece of data has a data owner, because then someone becomes accountable for that at that stage. And then thinking about reliability and safety, and that sort of ensures making that AI system is accurate and consistent in its performance. And sort of finally, that accountability, where people who design and deploy systems must be accountable for how their systems operate. So in summary, the 5 steps of our data strategy looks to move business through actionable insights. It's a modern analytics platform to bring your data together in the cloud. Data governance to ensure that data is compliant in that managed state where data can be found within the business. Thinking about data quality monitoring and improving that to get that data ready for all types of analytics and insights and AI. Thinking about dashboards to visualizations to build those viable insights for business, and that generative AI to propel business into the fast lane and create that business value. So an agile data strategy can be created with ease, where data is powerful and it can be leveraged, just thinking about ensuring that there is an appropriate data platform in place and working to ensure that current data quality state is understood and it's always being improved, because things change all the time, so it's a continuous process. Having a unified data governance sort of side of things within the business is really important for moving into this new world and creating business use cases to find value for generative AI. So where do we go from here? Just thinking about those rapid actionable insights that we can make and how that's enabled. And there are several routes to sort of like data empowerment, but these are the 4 main areas that I think are really important to get started with. So starting with a benchmarking tool, sort to drive that business aligned roadmap with a data and AI readiness assessment. And it provides that possibility to continually track your data progress and things. And I think it's like important to continually see where you are in the place so that you can then say, well, we've made this progress in the last sort of like 6 months. So it sort of like just helps sort of drive you along. But then having a business use case workshop to sort of define and prioritize those use cases based on business objectives to gain that real business value. And that's really important when we start working with data, that we get that business value. Then an in-depth discovery to find out more about your data quality and that data governance side of things, and data visualizations. So it's often the case that there needs to be that iteration between those business use cases and that data discovery to work in the actionable, agile fashion, because we always we do one use case and we find out more about it and we just keep going around that circle, because that's the quickest way that brings the biggest amount of value straight into the business. And then making sure you have a modern analytics platform to modernize and that your estate and build and transform your data estate with that. So then you're in this major place then ready to start working with that generative AI in the future. So the key thing being successful is to have a set of business use cases with that right technology to enable rapid adoption through an actionable roadmap. So I'd like to thank you for attending our webinar today. We've really enjoyed speaking to you today, and I think yes, if we've got any questions,
we do indeed. And they're all for you, Victoria. So obviously, they're obviously compelling. You did a very good presentation, and I'm really grateful for your time on this. So I'll take the simplest one first, in my opinion. Victoria, what step would you say people could typically get stuck on when building a data strategy?
Trying to look too big or too far in the future, because I think if you think like traditional methods, you would look at 1, 2 or 3 years. Now you can have that kind of in your mind, but technology and things are changing so rapidly that really anything more than 6 months in advance is really hard, because you might waste your time designing what you want to do in 2 or 3 years time, whereas technology has completely changed the entire ball game. So I think it's like being small and agile and just keep moving. You need to have that platform in place, but yeah, just keep being small and making everything massively business driven, because then that enables things to sort of like move forward much quicker and you get business value straight away.
That's interesting, and actually, so your last slide and the comment you just made there sort of partially answers the next question. So one of the audiences says, we're currently running a bootstrap project to modernize our data stack. Resource is ultimately limited and momentum is essential. How do you suggest striking the right balance between putting the right data governance in place, recognizing acceptable data quality, and enabling a data community to get up and running and move their working practices to Fabric-led workflows? For example, are there any particular compromises you would recommend avoiding?
Oh my goodness, what a long question. That sounds like a whole workshop in itself. Right, so thinking about like compromises and things like that, the only way that you can really compromise is immediately identifying what are the primary data sets that you want to work with or that you must work with, because the businesses have loads of data sets. So don't start thinking we have to cover the whole world. Just start thinking about that. There may be 2 or 3 data sets that are absolutely key to everything. So start only on those. I mean, the others you can come later, but trying to boil the ocean all at once, it just doesn't work. And just trying to get that minimum cases, business use cases tied in with those data sets as well, so then you can sort of move forward, because it can be a big piece of work. I mean, I always recommend when you start thinking about like that data quality side of things, making sure that you've done a quick test against the data quality with like a dashboard, so that you know where you are and you're always moving forward. And I think that's why I always like to highlight, well, this is where we are, a quick run through with this is where we are on all the things, and then you can quickly check, have I actually improved these going forward, because then you can move forward like much quicker rather than just trying to look at the whole picture.
I think that's a really good point, and also it's going to lead to, you know, the key thing I jumped out of that question was the momentum side of things, because if you are resource constrained, if you narrow down the focus onto those data sets, you run a really quick assessment on the data quality, and then you start trying to provide some business outcome on those. You're getting an output, you're getting some results from your labour that will help when people can start seeing outcomes, and the management team and the leadership team can start seeing the value relatively quickly, and then that enables you to generate more momentum to carry on the more refining work. So maybe the data sets will start off smaller, maybe they won't be the huge data sets, there'll be fewer data sets you can start off with, and you'll iterate in terms of addressing those data qualities. Maybe you'll not include those in the first pass and address those further on. So yeah, but is one of the last part of the question, is there anything that should be avoided?
Oh, that should be avoided.
Like a compromise that should be avoided. You know, this is non-negotiable.
Well, I think not having ownership of your data assets. I mean, you can't. You can't sort of compromise all that or avoid it in any manner whatsoever. I mean, yeah, we think like we want to have like a data catalogue and sort of create a list of those, even if you start with Excel spreadsheets. But yeah, just thinking about, yeah, that ownership. I mean, somebody has to be responsible for that data. I know it's very scary. I've spoken to lots of customers about that as well, and it's just like, oh, no, I don't own that data. Oh, somebody owns that and they're not in the meeting room at this moment in time. And but it's important because it's not necessarily about, yeah, making sure that's secure. They might have someone else that has those secure and compliance modules, but having someone that you can go to that's a single point of contact all the time, and you cannot not have that in this new world.
Okay, so that sounds like that governance. The 5 pillars of governance is non-negotiable, and do not compromise on that.
Yeah, but I mean, it needs to be small. You don't need to like, I need a whole governance program that's 2 years long. That doesn't work these days. No, you just need that really small bit at the beginning days.
Yeah, and the days of those monolithic digital transformation programs that went on for years and delivered nothing. Yeah, I think those days are over now. It's about sort of it's decoupling them into achievable, you know, almost like a DevOps type model, where it's micro deliverables. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions we've got now. So I think there's one more slide left, just so people can understand. If you're interested in learning more, having a discussion with us, if there's any resources and opportunities that you might have and you might need our support, obviously you've got myself. I'm a free of charge resource to go and share my knowledge and information. You've got Victoria and her team and their ability to be able to actually manifest and turn these visions into a reality. Also, I'd strongly recommend that you follow Victoria and myself. We're both prolific in terms of our contributions on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day. And this video will be posted on YouTube in case you want to catch anything up. Thanks very much and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.